you start making decisions so things are easier on you, and she's picking up that slack. You understand me? So therefore, it creates a dynamic in the house. You understand me? And so you have to understand this. Now, it's a lot of different caveats in there, right? So we live in this time and day and age where, because everybody say it depends on what the couple wants. That's not true as well. This is what I've learned. See, there's what the couple think, right? What the couple knows, and then it's the maturity factor of wisdom of understanding the essence of how men and women get along long term. It doesn't matter what you want. It's about what works, right? And not just what works from, everybody thinks that they can just customize reality in their relationships. There's dynamics that will just work, right? That you can work into, and it will be better for you for the long term rather than trying to customize what you think is going to work, right? Human beings, men and women, have been together since the beginning of time. You understand me? There are certain dynamics that flow with our DNA, it flow with our spiritual energy. So just because you're born as a millennial or Generation Z and you want to deconstruct the way you think things will work because you feel like, well, let me just try this. And now we look at the success rate. That's what you got to look at. It's a reason why this shit not working for you. Because you have to dedicate yourself and commit yourself to the science of how things work. You know what I'm saying? So if you don't dedicate and commit yourself to the science of how things work, you will be trying to work very hard, and you will be committing yourself, and you will be going hard as hell to something that will never work out. I just want you to think about that for a second. So the question continues to arise, because we got to think about what is the dynamic that you're creating in the household. And, it's going to be a lot of beautiful single women that's going to be outside, and they're going to, well, I do this 50-50. I just want a man and to do this. Settling does not satisfy a relationship. When you settle, because there's so men that's bringing nothing to the table that a woman just happy with him bringing anything because of the last niggas brought nothing. These niggas be out robbing females for their time, energy, spirit, and money. So a woman be like, well, shit, if he bring 50, that's enough. Then another woman to say, well, listen, I want to make sure I have power in the household. So therefore, right, she wants to utilize her money so that the money becomes, right, her masculine energy that she's able to put down and say, well, I pay half the bills too. She wants leverage. This is dangerous. You're not supposed to go into a relationship looking for leverage. That's manipulation. You understand me? So that's when you're doing it wrong as well, because you got to ask yourself, what is the foundations that I'm building off of? Because then both of y'all will be fighting for leverage in the relationship instead of learning how to build, grow, and work with each other based on your commitments. You understand me? So you got to be careful. You got to be careful. So, women and men both have to bring something to the table. If a woman thinks that she just has to bring her essence to the table, oh no, she gonna lose out too. Because that was the conversation, like, just because you pretty thick, you know what I'm saying, and you have sex with them on command, you think that that's gonna be enough to keep somebody with you, and it's just not. Because the things that will make you valuable, your essence, your energy, your nurturing energy, your ability to bring peace, your ability to have somebody to communicate that is understanding, that is a helpmate, those are the things that money can't buy. Those are the things that money can't buy. That's how you bring something to the table. Now, a woman, these women nowadays, you're beautiful. You have money. You have careers, right? And you have these accomplishments. Now, in the bedroom, that shit don't matter. At the house, that don't matter. You can't walk into the house with your titles and your accomplishments. A man is not going to see you by that, because what you're trying to do is intimidate him by, I'm this, I've did this in the world. It's about your soul, baby. It's about your spirit. Like, a man ain't sleeping with your accomplishments. He don't care about that. So your success is what feeds you to get fulfilled from how you go about and utilize your mind and your energy on a daily basis. but it does not feed the relationship, right? What he wants in a relationship, what every man wants in a relationship is a woman. All that other stuff is what you've decided that you wanted to do based on your ambitions. But a man wants a woman in a relationship. So it's the same thing with women, even with men, because you can provide a woman something all day long. You can give her more than she could provide herself. You can take her around the world. You can do every single thing possible, better than anybody that was able to do it. But if you're not being a man, right? Because a woman gets in a relationship because she wants a man. Sometimes she don't know what a man is. And so it's your job to show her what is a man, right? Being that protector, that provider, and that producer, and you have to help her break down her own walls to be able to accept a real man, right? There's so many, don't you know, and this is important to understand, don't you know that there are so many women who have never had a real man in their life? I'm talking about from their father, their brothers, right? Their uncles, the men that they grew up with. Like, they never had a real man that was a protector, a provider, a producer, a teacher in their life that they can just depend on. So if she didn't have that, then this is a new experience for her, even learning how to properly appreciate that. So you have to go in and understanding those facts as well, right? So when the conversation starts to lead about 50-50 and all of this stuff, you can't go in, as a man, you should never think about going 50-50 with no woman on planet Earth. Anything you do, you have to give 100. Anything you do, because that's man business. Because now what you're agreeing to is only being half a man in that situation instead of a whole one. And the reality of it is not something, if you don't have the ability, and I'm not talking just financial. See, financial is the cheapest part of the relationship, but it's also part of the deepest because it represents the energy being transferred in that relationship. When a man pays for something, he is not just utilizing money. He is spending his intellectual property. He is spending his time. He is spending his effort. He is spending his real life energy. So the money is a representation of the processes that he uses on a daily basis that he commits to make sure that he provides and produces. But see, people cheapen the dollar because it's easy to say that's just money. But no, what is behind the money is the production of this man using his mind consistently. And then the man has to be in divine order as well, because now he got to be there emotionally, spiritually. He has to be understanding. He has to be able to provide energy and protection and freedom and all of these other different things. So just being a man, if you choose to be with a woman, you're choosing to evolve yourself to be multidimensional, right? And this generation has to be taught to respect and appreciate that, because right now what we're learning to respect and appreciate is the almighty dollar, not the man's mind that utilizes, that produces something. Right? And so there's a disillusion about what's even the playing field out there. The disillusion is the fact that the marketing is geared towards not general population of men, but 2% of men. 2% of men make $100,000 to $200,000. So there is this marketing to women that this is the type of man that you want. Right? When you hear songs about 8-figure niggas and people say they only date 9-figure, like, okay, that's one person. That don't even matter to you, because the average man is not making that. So if we want the average man and the average woman to get into a relationship, their standards have to first be healthy. And so your standards are disillusioned based on entertainment, and you mad that you ain't finding nobody that's right for you. And you ain't bad finding nobody because they don't exist. How can 30, 40, 50, 60, 70% of women go for 2% of men? And then you get mad at the 2% for doing how they do. No, and then you got these other brothers that's angry because they like society is completely disrespecting us, knowing that we are the average men that are working, that are producing. And now they start to pit black men and women against each other. And finding you correct. We are, what you said, bruh, say, I'm going to read this comment. Because him Honey has a successful relationship with his woman, You understand me? And I believe it's important because it says embedded in us, weekend equal off, cheat days equal off, but never realize we're trained to never go 100%. That's a fact. The 100% ratio is that whatever you do, and this is just being a man is 100% in. Whatever he does, that's how he gets respected. A man that's 50% in, that is no respect. So I heard some sister saying that, well, if I got to go 50-50 with a nigga, I'm cheating. Well, that's not the right precedence, because then you saying, well, if he pays for 100%, then that other 50% is worth him cheating, because that's what he paying for, a privilege. So you got to be careful when you denigrate yourself and you put a dollar amount to certain morals and substance and the value of the relationship. You understand me? Because a lot of you women out here now can just be bought, but you can't be taught. You understand me? If you don't have coachability and you don't want to submit or learn to nothing, then you don't actually have value in the situation. It's the same thing with men. Usefulness determines your value. Usefulness. In every situation, there's going to be two people that will come in at different levels of education levels, financial levels, maturity levels, whatever it may be, right? So that means that one person may be more advanced than the other. So that means that, okay, if one person is more advanced than the other, then that means that one person has to have more patience than the other. But what you're going in with a commitment towards patience and helping this person grow so that y'all can eventually be at a level, right, to where y'all can help sustain and grow each other. You don't know how much time that may take. So it may take you 2 years, 3 years to properly enjoy the relationship at the highest level, because you're coming in at different dynamics. One man may come in with the money, but he don't have the emotional intelligence of his woman. She may have a higher level of emotional intelligence. So she's bringing something to the table that she can teach, cultivate, and bring out of him, right? So you have to understand and appreciate what each person has and the values that each person has. It's the only way you can fully appreciate the person that you with. And we got this shit in our culture too. In society, we got cancel culture inside our own relationships. Something happened, well, nope, this not gonna work. This not gonna work. Like, nah, if you know, I realized a long time ago, marriage is like a war. And not wars is just a negative war, that is, there's going to be battles. In relationships, you tend to have way more good days than bad days, right? You can have, let's say, out of a year, 365 days, you can get into 5 arguments with a person, right? But 360 days were positive. 360 days, it was working, it was beautiful. But you start compounding interest on those 5 days, and you think about those more than you thought about the 360 days. If I got to go through 5 bad days with somebody so I can get 360 good days with, that's a great return. Because everything we do is a time investment. It's an energy investment. But we're disrespectful to the good things that we go in life because of the bad things that we go through. So I'm a reverse type person. It's very hard for me to get stuck on the bad things. My mind is so trained to think about the good days, because then that's how I know the investment of my time and my energy is worth it. So in most of the relationships that we have, we can go back and we can think about, damn, actually, it was worth it because I may have went through a few bad days, but it gave me this. So if you go clock an investment on your time, then yeah, if somebody told me, you had to have 10 really bad, shitty ass days, but I give you 3 years. 10 days or 3 years, man, that sounds good. That's a great return. So you got to reverse your mindset and your mentality. See, the problem is that, they're the solution at the same time. And it goes back to the toxic masculinity idea. Because toxic masculinity is just telling women and men that masculinity is toxic. That's the bar. Toxic masculinity is telling men that masculinity is toxic. Not that there's some form of it, there are some things that you're doing, the lack of it. So now men don't want to be masculine, and women don't truly respect masculinity. Don't really, because when a man be a man, speak up, move in a way. You understand me? Take over things, security minded. Say, nah, you can't do this, that, and the third. He's being a man. That's his mind. That's his intellect. That's his logic. That's his rationality. Take up space in the way he's supposed to, because masculinity is the typical traits of a man. And see, ladies, y'all might not want to hear this, but and this is no disrespect to any communities out there, but y'all may have so many friends who may be homosexual or who may be feminine that you look at these tendencies and think that this is also traits that you should see in your heterosexual male friend. So when you're so used to being around males who don't have, standard masculine traits, right? Then when a person does showcase masculinity, it's not appreciated. It's not. And I'm just saying, based on just think about your friend groups. You're so used to this. Oh, they're so nice. They're so soft. They like this kind of music. They do this. They're so friendly in this. They never say nothing about this. They dress like this. They so sensitive. And then a man, he gives his opinion on things. He's going to be raw. He's going to be logical. He's going to be super rational. He's going to move in this capacity. But you don't have experience being around real men. So it becomes foreign when you hear something to where you will actually get offended by it. And bro be like, damn, I'm just, you having a conversation about a subject. You want this man to be more acquiescent to the people around him and assimilate his thoughts. But when he speaks, he gonna be like, nah, I'm gonna speak how I speak. Like, what's the most dangerous thing? A man giving his true opinion on something. The most dangerous thing, I'm talking about a straight, masculine, heterosexual man giving his true opinion on something. We can't do that in society. You get blocked on social media, deplatformed, deboosted, demonetized. If we was to literally give our true opinion on things, we'd be villainized and hated for it. Man, they hate you for it. So what you become, you're training, you understand me, the man to emasculate himself, right? So that he can assimilate and be accepted in society, because remember, masculinity is toxic. That's the bar of the century. So anytime a person speaks and acts in a typical trait of a man, you're mansplaining, you're a patriarch, you're all these things to describe villainous behavior of masculinity. But then we say we love Malcolm and we love Martin and we love all of the leaders that died. But if you live it, it's a problem. If you're dead, we love you. We will do a march, a rally, we will run around you, and we will do all kind of stuff. But if you live it, I don't know. So when I go around and I look at these venues, I left a venue and I was reading it, right? And they always be like, yo, people of color, women, LGBTQIA, these are the marginalized communities. And it's like, damn, when I go look at the statistics, though, statistics says that black men have it worse than anybody. From the disease, from the crime rates, from homicide, from the poverty. Only thing that a white man got us beat in one category, and that's suicide. But I think that's only because they're not regarding the fact that black men over-medicate themselves, that have mental issues that end up killing themselves. These lean death, these are slow suicides. So black men, if you want to change America, you got to go look at those who have it statistically the worst. If you want to talk about diversification, you want to talk about change, you will start with that black man that's messed up. But all of the corporate dollars, all of the sponsorship go to every other group, like black men statistics have changed all of a sudden in some magical whim. And then, everybody is making fun. Oh, this black man ain't getting no job. He ain't getting no money. He ain't doing this. Black women improving in this area. So now he like, God damn. Not only have I been statistically going through hell because I've been at war, and it's war because you're complaining about the same person I'm at war with, but you're saying that I get privilege from it, when statistically it shows that I got the worst end of it. So black women will say, well, the patriarch is the issue. And then in that very voice say that, white patriarch is the issue. And in that very voice they say, well, black man privilege in that. we go link up with just women, and so it's no longer black men and women. It's a cold piece of game, because then black men are like, well, there ain't changed for us, right? We don't have the same level of ownership. The violence is still going on, the issues, the problem, all of this is still happening. So there's no empathy. And so when we talking about relationships, it's getting down to the core. There's no empathy on neither sides. So if a man wants to go 100, and you got to be careful with some of these niggas, man. You can't listen to rappers and like entertainers and like social media and like, loving hip hop and all that shit. That's just to sell you toxicity in the form of entertainment, because people like that. But you got to remember, that's just entertainment. It's low vibrational entertainment, but it's entertainment. It don't matter. It has zero nutritional value. It's junk food. So don't even look at what they selling you. The reality is everything else. That's everything else. The reality is when you go outside and you see this average man and woman outside, that's reality. You even got to be careful even having conversations about topics that's brought up by celebrities and things of that nature. They're not living in reality, right? The rest of the 98% of population that's not making six figures or more or living in these different type of environments, you have to be careful taking advice from people who don't even view reality in the same manner as you. But as a man and as a woman, all I can tell you is this. It has worked for hundreds of thousands of years. It has worked for thousands of years, different constructs. Our generation does not have to reinvent the wheel on everything. It actually showcases our ignorance while we're trying to deconstruct things instead of study what works. Study what works. We have the least amount of knowledge on the things that are the most important to us. We don't know the dynamics of psychology and relationships. We don't know our bodies, our minds. We don't know the legal systems. We don't know the financial systems. We don't know the health systems. We don't know none of the systems that affect us the most. Yet we brag about accomplishments that keep us poor, and we celebrate on a daily basis. When it comes to men and women, all I can tell you is go 100. You figure out what that means to bring 100% of you to the table. She figures out what that means to bring 100% of herself, right? And then y'all work from there, but you got to cut out any conversation at 50-50, because then half of what's required to make that relationship successful will always be missing. That's my high-level conversation, man. That's my high-level take of the day. I appreciate y'all. I'm about to go into this situation because I'm in Miami. But, I just wanted to give my thoughts, and hopefully that helped in some particular manner for somebody thinking about this tomorrow. A high-level conversation drop. It's going to be powerful. Continue to tap in. Continue to keep us number one in this. You understand me? Continue to go 100% in your own life and continue to show up. I try to coach my students through this process of thinking, on a week-to-week basis so that we can maintain this high-level thought process.